Hello and welcome. My name is Manuel Quintana with Pragmatic Works, and in collaboration with MAQ Software, we're bringing you today's video to explore their exquisite custom visual known as the journey chart. Now, this visual allows us to transform dense statistical data into clear networks of categories and relationships. We're going to see this in the method of nodes and vertices. It's a really awesome way to explain things such as a process. We can explain different stages within a process, or show and illustrate clear relationships and understandings between categories. And sometimes we can even use this to discover unknown patterns of our data. So let's go take a quick look at this journey chart visual by MAQ Software, Power BI. So here on the screen, we can see the journey chart by MAQ Software just here on this left-hand side. And by selecting this visual, we will see that we are given two items for mapping purposes for this visual. We can see both the measure data and the category data. Now, both of these are required. And it should be noted, you can have multiple measures and categories, but there's a maximum of 4 categories allowed and up to 5 measures themselves. And what we're going to see, the categories are represented by the nodes themselves, and then the measure data as well are going to be represented in the lower tier of the nodes, but that's going to be what we're seeing as far as values within there. And this is going to be portrayed in the sense of having effectively leveraging percentage value, and the percentage value is calculated relative to the siblings. So the other items at the node level as compared to its parent object. Sometimes it's best to understand this through an example. As we can see here, we're taking a look effectively at a process flow. We're looking at recruitment scenario for a company. Now, as soon as I click in here, and if we click on a node, actually, you can drag these and move them around, and it'll actually automatically animate itself and look to best orient itself to fit in exactly where it looks good. So we don't have crossing lines here. And of course, you can scroll out, you can scroll in, you can pan and everything. Now, it should be noted, we start at the root node. Now, this is something that is by default is labeled root, but we'll see in the format pane that we can actually specify what we'd like this as the name. So this is our total population. From here, the next tier we can see in the category data is age group, and we can see it broken apart here. There is a size difference between these, and that's based off of its value. Now, we have 5 different values, all relatively close, so there's not too much distinguishment here. But then from there, we can see it breaks into the next category data, which is going to be male and female, the gender. So we can see for every category, we had both male and female. And if we look, categories age 24 to 26 had a value here of 85,500. The males made up 52.63% of that. That's how many males showed up for this process here. And of that amount of males, 100% of them, all 45,000 of them, showed up. Of the males we had, all of them appeared for the exam. From that, how many of them actually were qualified from based off of the exam? It's only 1%, 1.1%, only 500 of them. And of that, how many appeared for an interview? Well, we had 400 appeared there. So if we kind of take a look, we had the 500, 400, which just is 80% of the previous stage. So you can see how this is illustrating itself and giving us a nice, very nice network understanding of this flow process. We don't necessarily need to do it in this style as well. We also can have another scenario. We're looking more of a traditional hierarchical view of total sales. And then we're looking at total sales broken down by the year. So as we can see, we have these 2 nodes. So if I just move this here, it'll clean this up a little bit. But we have 2014 here, 2013 below. So our total sales was this larger number here. And 2013 had 46% of that value, while 2014 had 53%. And then, of course, it breaks down as we would expect, as we're seeing here below. And I'm just going to move this around here. Our respective manufacturers, and it'll be broken down by percentage. And then the respective categories that they were selling from within that manufacturer. So you can see all the categories is basically splintering off nodes, while our measures are illustrating those values here. So we can see lots of great information, a really neat sense of animation here. And users have complete control of how this orientation goes, and it'll kind of move with you, just adding a little extra flavor into that mix itself. So let's take a quick look at some of the features we have at our disposal in the formatting area. If we go just here, we can see we can, of course, enable or disable the legend section. That's just going to hide those items for that top level for the within our category data. So in this case, a year, but it represents the branch off from the node itself, the primary node. We also can control the respective colors for them, as we can see here. Also, we can turn on or off. Don't recommend turning off the data label. As you can see, you don't get much information unless you rely on the tooltip. So data labels, usually I say leave them on for good measure there. But you could decide how you want this to be represented. Do we want to see the category only? Maybe I want to see the category and value right off the get-go. This can be a little bit daunting. As you can see, when you have a lot of nodes, it can take up a lot of space. But if you kind of line these things up and spread them out, it's somewhat functional. But like I said, as you start to get overlapping elements, you can kind of lose that sense of visibility here. So can be a little bit cumbersome, but we have direct control over this. So depending on how much distinct is, how many values, how many nodes we have presented, one or the other might be a better choice here. And of course, color and all those elements are readily at our disposal. So I hope you enjoyed the journey chart by MAQ Software. And thank you for watching our video. If you have any questions about this visual or need a similar business solution, feel free to contact MAQ Software at sales@maqsoftware.com. As well, for any of your Power BI training needs, be sure to reach out to us at Pragmatic Works by emailing training@pragmaticworks.com. Take care.